are. And we are here back in the VR session and we are watching it live. Or you're watching it live. If you aren't, then definitely let me know if you like it or not by leaving a like down below. Press the red button right beside it to subscribe. But otherwise, guys, we are going to be live creating and continuing on with what we created before. This is now loading in my very own live stream area before, because we've got the portal there, and as it loads in, the portal over there. If you're new to the channel, then don't forget again to hit subscribe. My name's Blut084, BLUT084, and if you wanted to see where and when we created this, check down in the old videos down below. In the it should be linked in the sidebar, or definitely have a look on the playlist. So it looks like it's all loaded in. If it's not, then all I got to do is press this button here and it should be all here and ready for us to hit that red button and stand up, because today we're going to put this back into safe mode. Let's grab it and put it into safe mode. But like I said, I've created this room before. This is exactly where my sofa is. So if you've ever seen my live streams when you'll be looking for me from that area over there, that is actually the camera I have to, there's my boundary sort of thing. This is the actual room that I'm sitting in, and past that area, you'll never find out where it goes. But we have portals to take us to another place, blah, blah, blah. And I want to go back, because we're not going in that portal and just creating in this area, because we can minimize and all that good stuff with this kind of VR technology. We can say hello to my friend and go down into his portal. So let's unlock and enter the portal. So where it goes is to the next part, or the end of this game, because we're not creating in this world, we're going to be creating in the next world, or the place that I've also been working. We were working last time on the Iron Man, and that's what we're going to be continuing on in this VR session. There goes the other place where we've been. And this is where we're going to the end of this game. Boundaries. It doesn't like my boundaries. Right. We'll be listening to some more from the comic story as well, guys, today. So let's press that green button and go to somewhere new. We'll load it up. What do we need? Right, so let's go back to the Iron Man place. We have done a few more. There's that ship that I did very, very beginning, and give you a sort of a go through as I was doing. But we also did Kratos' axe, if you've ever played the new God of War game, and an undersea area. That's fitting, probably a little bit for May, but was done a lot earlier than then. I've had this since Christmas 2018, and I've been seeing what I can do in it ever since. It's a minor thing, this app, but it's still good. No? Oh god, I always do that. Right, so controls. Yes. Yes. I want to go there. Collect the tick and load it in. There it is. Right, so there's the hoop and the Iron Man sign, which we did last time. So let's change the tool and put it up there in the way. Oh crap, and I already did a load of stuff to this, and I didn't save it because I'm an idiot. I can make this room a lot bigger, which looks like it's going to have to be, because you're tiny. Right. Get that tool in the right place. There we go. Douche. We need to start creating, but first we'll grab the tool. Okay, we've already got the tool. Have I got the right tool? Yes, I have. Is it straight line tool? Yes, it is. Get rid of them. Yes, I am. Right, so I did put a table here, and it made it a little bit easier to sort of gauge where I was, because I can move it around. I can't keep getting. Then again, should I just have it there? You know what I mean? Yeah. They're over there on the stair, but that was my that is my sofa, which you saw a moment ago. I gauge the area by my sofa. I can walk around the sofa, so I can create areas that if I was going to go over there, sort of thing, where that red line is, I can stand there. Technically, that's me. That's the furthest I can go away, and gauge is there for the camera, and well, I'll hit a window and fall out if I go that way, and over there is again, you'll never find out. But we got to put in more of this. I want to put in a couple of a couple of Iron Man sort of areas. Trying to sort of get the right words, but his crafting, where he's what do they call him? God damn. Do my head in. What is it called? What's it called? Loading bays? No, they're not loading bays. I suppose they are loading bays in some ways. Not loading bays as such. Just mapping out the area now. Because I could see little differences that I needed to change. That can stay as is. Excuse me. Sort of these. I'd make them a bit smaller. Where he holds them, they stand. Stands, I don't know. Something like that. We can make this bigger and make it smaller as well, as we need to. Obviously at the moment it's a bit too small, but as you can see here is where the distance is I can go. So if I gauge that as well, put that, because I don't want it to be a square room. I want to kind of change it up and have maybe like the area here where I can actually move to, which would be probably no flow about there, I would think. And such excellence that I can turn this, I can shrink this down, move it around if I wanted to. Go over where I like it. Just go over here with it. I stand a bit more comfortably here, but there's my boundary. So that's generally where I stand about here. Stay about here. This is using the PSVR again. This isn't a great rooming scheme. This is my boundaries to create. So if I was to increase the size somewhat, actually that's what I did when I was creating earlier on. I was just having a tester. Made that bigger. Make that bigger, right? And then made it smaller again. I grabbed it. Whoops. Grabbed that and moved that like this. So they'll be where's the... Right, there's that. That was rather large. And there he is. There he goes up there. And there would be my standing way too big, but sort of, you can get what I'm trying to do. So if I stand that, there's my sofa sort of thing. I can make, see there, that I know by those blue dots, because I mapped out my sofa like in a VR, like they would do for like a when you watch the cinema, you have the white dots on the people. Well, I can't do that, but I can put white dots on where my sofa is, and then go judge it by the size of where my leg would be, that would be the edge of the sofa. So I would say, if I grab it again, that is my boundaries ish. That needs to go over there. So why is my sofa there if that was always over there? Because it's not. That's the end. Right. Still think I need to walk to my other end of the sofa now to test that, and it's miles out. So I stand on the other side, grab it again. Alright, mate, make you smaller. You're smaller. You're going bigger. Why are you going bigger? Why are you going so big? There we go. Smaller, smaller, smaller. 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 Grab it. Grab it. And that can go in there. And that can go here. Chill out. I may get motion sickness in this live stream, guys, so I'll take it off, but I won't go away anywhere. Just for a couple minutes of recap. So there's my boundary. There's where I thought my boundary for walking is. It's obviously not going to pick me up because I'm out of the boundary of the camera, but I can create and walk over there as such. There's my sofa. So if I was to walk around, here we go, walking around my sofa now. That really thing that gauges that don't walk any further than that sort of thing. But I'm now walking around my sofa and I'm at the thing again. If you've ever seen me live stream, you'll know what that sound is. And I'm somewhere else. I can create, again, I've got all free roam to do whatever the hell I like, as long as I stand in camera. So I got all of this, but the only problem is there's a massive gate sofa in the way. So I'm going to make a table here. Or a stand of some sort. Like he's working on, you know, in Iron Man 3 sort of thing. Where he's got a place to stand as well as do his work. Or maybe from Iron Man 1. Where he's got his table, where he's got his arm machine. You know, when he's putting his arm in sort of thing. Get rid of that. No, I'll get rid of that later. Give me an idea. Keep your mark stamps. Everything you do in VR is a mark stamp. But you can always delete it if it don't work for you. And I don't know why that keeps happening when I'm there. So I can't make big ones. I can make big ones there, right? Just creating at the moment, see what I can do at the moment. Again, can't move any of this around, unfortunately. I have to move the whole scene, which is annoying. Really annoying. Right. Oh, no, right. Don't want to get rid of that one. We want to keep that one. That's what we just fit in. Make sure it can see me. That's why. Camera can't see the light on the device that I use this to do with. So let's go back over the other side of the sofa again. I'm walking around it as if I'm walking around it, making it a, oh god, I've just got to squeeze in. So I'll probably put something there as I'll probably put something over there, if you can see what I mean, pointing over there. Put something in that corner to suggest that I can walk there but I can't go past there, sort of thing. But I don't like these. They're not square enough. This floor is doing my head in as well. Again, it was just an idea to sort of get a space of the room. And now I can move you in the wrong place. Shrink you down a little bit. Carry on work. Could you shrink, I said. Damn you, would you shrink? So I can muck around with you. Because I don't want it to be absolutely huge. Now I've got the shape of the piece of the table to where I'm going to need it to be. I'm going to get rid of all this, I think. Shrink it down a bit. I can really start working on it. Details, sort of thing. While I'm doing that, let's get some Iron Man on in the background. And entertain you, because I can't always talk when I'm drawing. As you know, if you ever caught me live, drawing on the weekdays. I'm doing my illustrations. And again, guys, we are live. This isn't recorded like last time. If you want to leave a comment, please leave one at the sidebar or wherever you do when you're live. This will probably take me about an hour or so. So, knuckle in, enjoy. And if I don't see your comment straight away, I will after I've been live, guys. Just felt like creating today. Sip me coffee. So, buzz. And there we go. Right, let's get that playing in the background. And get going. Some more art of Iron Man.
Welcome to the Complete Story Series. We take trade paperbacks and single issues and we break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then we release dramatically back to you all alterations to the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright films, and all art is owned by its respective companies. This takes place in the all-new, all-different Marvel after Superior Iron Man and the Secret Wars. And no, we don't have any answers from Superior. Tony Stark looks at his new armor, and he is proud of himself once again. He did it. He made it better. He merged all of his armor types into one. It's armor that can change shape and color based on the mission, and armor that isn't attached to his biology so that it freaks people out. It is not attached to his brain, making him all weird and evil. He has to take this out on the town. But Friday, his computer informs him that he'll be late for a date with the prestigious Dr. Amara Pereira. And while Tony Stark is going on his date with her, something else is happening in Stark Tower, Japan. A woman in a mask comes crashing out of the building, shooting ninjas that are falling to the ground below her. But back with Tony Stark's date, things seem to be going well. Except that the good doctor knows Tony's reputation as a womanizing playboy. He insists that he is changing. Like, if he was trying to impress her, he'd have Thor fly in for a visit or something. The doctor turns to eat her cake and tells him to just be Tony Stark. She doesn't need all of the special treatment. So, as Thor was beginning to land, Tony begins to wave her away. Tony walks over to her. I know you. I read your papers, and I bet you have 5 change-the-world things ready to go in your mind that you don't want to release for fear of what it'll do to the world. She looks down. I have 1. I have the cure for the mutant gene. Tony is in shock, and he offers to help her lock her mind away from psychic spies because she doesn't want to cure the mutant gene. It would turn into a law to be vaccinated. Tony looks her in the eyes, and Amara looks at him, and they lean in to kiss each other when she asks what he's doing. She's heard his reputation and knows that he's a horn dog. So he has to wait. Maybe next time they can kiss. Then Friday appears before him to let him know that Whitney Frost is back. She was last seen in Latveria, so Tony suits up and rockets off to see what he can find. And once he lands, he finds the most shocking development yet. Dr. Doom, with a fixed face, smiling and welcoming him. He raises his arm ready to blast Dr. Doom, and he does, with the full force of his beams, only to have Dr. Doom block it with a magical spell. Friday confirms that it is in fact Dr. Doom. All well and good. Dr. Doom confirms this by reminding Tony of the time that they traveled back in time to the court of King Arthur, and they had a rousing adventure. You tried to murder me and leave me there. I said I remembered it fondly, not that you did. So Tony goes into full Hulkbuster mode, only to have it blocked by another magical shield. Are you finished? I'm here to track down Whitney Frost, Madame Mask. And I could use your help on this, as you two have history. She has embarked on a very dangerous treasure hunt, accumulating powerful items from around the world that she shouldn't have. Infinity Stones, Cosmic Cubes, Web Shooters. Dr. Doom leads Tony down the stairs and into his secret lab, where he's holding the Wama-Batum. He then hands it to Tony to ensure Whitney won't get it, and to get Tony to trust him. And he then tells Tony to triangulate the energy in this castle, and he'll find Whitney. Then, with the snap of his fingers, Iron Man finds himself in the Bronx Zoo. Whitney went to go meet her contact, and she
There we go, using that tool.
Was wrong. The wand that she got from Dr.
Just gonna leave the floor because it's bugging me.
She walks into the shower and takes a moment to relax and clean up. But once she comes back into the hotel room, she finds Tony Stark sitting there holding her mask and looking at it without his armor. He asks her about the artifacts that she is looking for, and he finds that Dr. Doom was telling him the truth. Could it be that Dr. Doom was actually trying to do the right thing? But Whitney takes this chance to lunge at Tony, only to be thrown back by his armor that he is wearing, but he had in stealth mode. He looks at her hand with the extra vision in his suit, and he tells her that she just broke it in 3 places. In response, she taps him, and magic explodes around him as she yells, "Die!" The suit goes into lockdown, and Friday can tell Tony is going to die, but he isn't ready to do anything drastic, and he firmly believes that Whitney is just in over her head, and he tries to think of a way out of this. But Friday has her own plan. She is programmed to keep Tony alive no matter what, and she causes a massive explosion as the suit jumps off of Tony, throwing him out of the building. It then reforms on its own, and it blasts Whitney while Tony is telling Friday, "I don't want this!" Friday tells him that it's too late. The suit is in remote mode, and it begins blasting Whitney with everything. The whole time, Tony lands on the rooftop controlling the suit, trying to not hurt her too severely. So Whitney teleports away. Realizing that something has changed, Tony calls up his friend, Dr. Strange. And after a quick visit with his new female friend, in which he asks her Hail Hydra to see her response, and she tells him that she has no idea what he's talking about, he heads off to see Dr. Strange. He explained that Dr. Doom was back and healed. While he didn't have their kick-ass facial hair, he did look good. Dr. Strange finds the whole situation weird, but he's more weirded out by Dr. Doom having a Wama-Batum.
I'm trying to put a floor in here now.
Because Dr. Strange has the Wama-Batum.
Because that didn't work for me.
He then sees Whitney is trying to pull magical energy from
Let's see what tools I've got.
Informs Tony that she's
to do that with.
Strange, but can I handle this on my own? I was kind of hoping you'd say that. I have a lot going on right now. Anything I can help with? Do you have a key to Dimension?
That'll do.
Not on me. So Tony holds up his hand for a high five. Thanks, Doc. He then holds that position because Doctor Strange isn't returning it. No. Come on. I told you I would never do that again. You can do it, Doctor Strange. And he holds that position. And he holds it until Doctor Strange finally high-fives him. Awesome facial hair, bros. I hate you. He heads off for California right away in his new stealth mode where he doesn't find Whitney, just an audio tape that she left for him. She apologized for the night before, but warned him not to come after her. She will kill him, and he's not the only one looking for her. At that moment, ninjas throw him out of the window. He finds himself on the beach in the moonlight, battling against ninjas that are throwing him around like a toy. After he gets tired of being their plaything, he activates a new armor mode, Samurai Iron Man, complete with a new Iron Man samurai sword. He begins fighting back, and he's able to stop them once he separates them so that they can't coordinate their attacks against him. And eventually he wins as he learns that they are wearing tech suits. Tech suits are kind of his thing. And then they all short out, killing themselves. Tony is stumped as to where to go next. But after a charity appearance at a hospital where he brings children-sized versions of his suits, Dr. Doom shows up again to inform him that he found Whitney at Mary Jane Watson's new club. Whitney was there to get another artifact a gentleman in the club was holding onto, and Doom and Iron Man showed up to stop her by trapping her in an energy bubble specifically designed to contain her. This just makes her madder, and she takes a hold of Doom. Friday then reports to Tony that she is also attempting to break into his armor, just before Whitney lets
That makes everything glow.
Explosion, throwing back Doom and Tony. She then jumps on Tony and begins tearing his mask off of his suit so she can disable the suit. Then, out of nowhere, Mary Jane cracks Whitney over the head with a mic stand. She knocked off Whitney's mask and right away realized the problem with that. Luckily, it was enough to break her hold on Tony and Doom gets back into the fight, blasting her with everything that he has, while Tony grabs Mary Jane and gets her out of the fight. As Mary Jane runs off, Tony asks Friday who that girl was. Mary Jane Watson, supermodel. Cool. That's when Tony sees the demon possessed.
Bring him over here.
His face is twisted with power, with fangs growing out of her mouth, and he realizes she had lost it. So he apologizes to her, and he lets his suit go. It forms around her, trapping her in his battle armor, and then it locks her down in place. With Stark in control of the suit, he lays her down so that Doom can perform an exorcism on her, freeing her of her demon and power finally. In a final explosion, though, Mary Jane's club is completely ruined and destroyed. So much for a fresh start away from New York. With her finally free of the demon, Doctor Strange teleports in and takes her so that he can heal her.
Okay.
He's teleporting away. Tony thinks
There are new adjustments.
Doctor Strange looks at him. I had to. We're awesome facial hair, bros. Tony is stunned. Wow. All of this was worth it just for that. 3 days later, Tony tracks down Mary Jane because he blew up her new club and she doesn't know what to do. Superheroes ruin her
Where's the
life.
camera one?
So he offers her a job as his new PA. And that is the first 5 issues of the new Invincible Iron Man arc.
There it is.
Personally, I'm loving the direction they're going with this, and I hope you do too. If you want to find out what's next, go ahead and check out issue 6 to continue the story.
This is going to be awkward as hell. Okay, stop making it smaller. Come on. No, it's just smaller and smaller.
It's
Come
time
on.
for a classic Iron Man and Captain
A little bit
America.
frustrating, this thing. Come here, you. That's starting to bug me. I think I'll get rid of that, guys. Because it's not working to what what I'm trying to create, if you see what I mean. I can go and stand here. I'm going to sneeze.
Self-replicating bees to save their respective nations, not start more battles. You see, Tony Stark loves coming to weapon shows where he gets to see all of the new toys, and while there, he wants to convince the villains that they should stop, and he can also find new targets for the Avengers. But this particular time, he's not here for himself, he's here for a friend. Also known as Captain America, Steve got word that one of his targets was here, so he enlisted the aid of Tony Stark to find out if it's true. Right now, Steve is walking around in a camo disguise.
So I was using that as a gauge to say, yeah, that's how big it is, but it's just more of a pain in the ass. But I could just go, that is where that's going there. There's the table, and there's my point of reference sort of thing. Like I was using the sofa for.
This isn't good. The Harvester Protocol is a big problem. But as they begin to activate the Harvester Protocol, the glass ceiling breaks, and in jumps Batroc the Leaper with machetes, Zoran, and Rapido. They begin opening fire.
So I can still walk around here and go here, but
Steve jumps out of the way, pushing down one of the people that was standing next to him. And as the harvester protocol begins to go off, Steve's disguise...
You see what I mean, guys? And I can look over here, and I can work over here, and I can kind of go... That's as far as I'll go. If I go over here, camera's freaking out.
Works almost as good as the real thing. Tony activates his suit. At this time in the timeline, Tony's suit is the Extremis suit, which hides in his bone structure. And he tells Steve that he's on his way. But Steve tells him, take your time. I have this. Iron Man comes crashing.
Yeah, that's annoying. I'm using that as a point of reference now, guys, so I can just grab the head, if you see what I mean. Right. Let's get rid of that. You'll go in, my friend. That's where I started. If I flick it back to the original, that's the first thing I did in here.
It is to get me out of here safely now. Iron Man flies over to him, but Batroc kicks him in the head, and Cashmere fully turns on the harvester.
So I shouldn't use that, and that'll be my pop in. If I get rid of the first reference, I don't know what'll happen actually. Oh no. Maybe it'll save where I'm standing. I don't know.
While it's on his body, he has to shut it down, turning it into a liquid suit that is pouring off of his body. And Machete gets ready to take Tony's head. While Rapido's
So I want that to be like stand-endable. So now if I was to go on top of... Oh, of course my dog's sitting on my sofa. Thanks dog. You a silly plonker, and nearly crushed your head. Oh, that's not even nowhere remotely where my thing is. Now it is.
Has the ability to spread fast through all technology, compromising everything completely, making all technology useless, and then it
I'm half in, half out now. If I was like putting a pair of glasses on and going, ugh, that's the other universe.
They need to get this figured out in a hurry because they're about to have a lot of Tony Stark's Iron Man armors flying around. And to make matters worse, he now has to purge it out of his system.
That's there. So if I was to move, stand up on it. I'm standing on the platform now, going yeah, ba bow bow, sort of thing. Jump, jump. He when he's dancing in Iron Man 3, you see what I mean? The floor is crap still though. So that's the point of reference to say, create something. Make it smaller again.
Iron Man? Well, it's Tony and whatever technology he could salvage from the destroyed building to make a new armor. He uses a few tricks to drop the C-list thugs, and then using limited rocket boots, he grabs Steve and they get the heck out of there. Tony explains that he built this temp suit. Everything has about one use out of it, and then it's gonna fall off. But it should get them where they need to go. They end up following more of Steve's leads until they end up at the harbor. Once they arrive, Tony asks Steve who he thinks is behind all of this, and Steve tells him, AIM. Definitely AIM, because he's looking at MODOK, some AIM scientists in Kashmir. Tony tells Cap they only need 5 minutes. What happens in 5 minutes? I save the day, of course. 5 minutes, huh? I can do 5 minutes with my eyes closed. And then Cap throws his shield out there. Everyone begins the battle, but sadly the AIM scientists and the C-list thugs don't seem to realize that they're fighting two Avengers, as it doesn't take much for Cap and Iron Man to hold the line. That's when the scientists send out some electrical spiders to mess with them, and Iron Man shocks them with the last of his tech, while Captain America is throwing the spiders around and slamming the villains with his shield. Rapido opens fire on Cap, but his shield blocks everything, and then he throws it at Rapido, dropping him. But that's when Zoran jumps on the back of Captain America, so Iron Man hits Zoran with webbing. Yep, webbing, a trick that he learned from Spider-Man. Then Iron Man takes one of their guns, and using his tech, he disassembles it and throws the pieces at the AIM scientists. MODOK starts using his lasers, going crazy, hitting everyone, not caring who's on his team. And Captain America responds by throwing his shield at MODOK. Realizing that this isn't going to end well,
why is he not doing that?
And Batroc tries to stop Captain America from chasing her. As Batroc jumps on Cap's shoulders, he declares that this is exciting, arch enemies fighting to the bitter end. And Captain America knocks Batroc off of him, hitting him with his shield. As far as enemies goes, Batroc, you don't even rank in my top 10. And then it happens. 5 minutes pass. The whole time, Tony has been purging the virus from his system, and now that it's gone, it's time for him to bring the big guns out as he pulls his suit out of his bones again. Iron Man jumps into the air, grabbing MODOK and throwing him down. Captain America runs into the room with Kashmir and tells her to stop. She can't activate the virus, but using a piece of Iron Man tech that she has recreated, she blasts at Captain America, and he has to dive for cover. It doesn't matter, though, because she's already turned it on, sending out the Harvester virus on a global scale. Everything around them begins to short out, from microwaves to cars to street lamps to cell phones. Even MODOK begins to lose control, blasting his lasers even more uncontrollably. Cap doesn't know what to do, but Tony already has a plan. You see, the virus was purged out of his system, curing it, and he now has a series of bees that he can send out around the world, neutralizing the virus all over. Since the bee drones self-replicate, the virus should be gone in a few hours, turning it into nothing but bug food. Cap Cap walks over and tells Iron Man that took a little bit longer than 5 minutes. Oh, you know, the playboy in me likes to be fashionably late. And it looks like you got your girl while I was busy saving the day. Well, yeah, but she isn't saying much right now. Don't worry, we'll fix that. And ultimately, our heroes won working together. It's just a fun, simple story. These do exist, you know. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and don't forget to follow me on Twitter at ComicStorian and Instagram at ComicStorian. And if you want more of these, like, solo stories that don't really wrap into any giant overarching plots, then let me know by giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel. I'll see you guys next time right here.
I'm really going to ham to it now, guys, because I just want to see what happens to what I do when I change things. Because I'm getting bored of the form that is and the way I'm using. I have to really start getting into this.
Welcome to the Complete Story Series, where I take trade paperbacks and single issues and I break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then we're going to dramatically back to you all alterations to the panel 6 and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. This takes place before the Universal reboot and the start of all new, all different Marvel. But we've been told that the events from this story will be reflected in future Iron Man stories. Plus, you know, it's a retconned origin for Tony Stark. Thought you guys might want to know that. Tony has been in space recently, teaming up with the Guardians of the Galaxy. But while in space, he witnessed the destruction of an entire civilization at the hands of an evil robot named 451. He has now made it his job to find 451 and stop him from destroying anything else. So he informs Star-Lord that he'll be back. He has a mission. He recruits a bounty hunter named Death's Head to help him in this search, and they go back to the destroyed civilization to pick up a signal and track 451. This leads the two of them to 451's signal on a doomed ship that he commandeered, where Tony tells Death's Head to try and take him alive, but if they need to kill 451, they will. But as they prepare to ambush 451, Tony realizes his mistake. 451 already hired Death's Head to work for him and bring Tony to him, and 451 already hacked Pepper, which was the AI inside of Tony's armor taking control of all of Tony's systems. Tony is helpless and at 451's mercy. Death's Head leaves with his payment, and 451 walks Tony into the deeper recesses of the ship. Tony argues with him, but 451 sits him down and intends to show him something. Something that might convince him to help with 451's master plan. Tony tells him that he won't be helping in any ridiculous plan.
Okay. It's working for me. Liking it. Yes, yes. Like that, like that.
I love you so much, but this was for the future, for Earth. We did this for you. Then, to Tony's shock, 451 walks up behind Howard Stark. Son, we need you to know the truth, and you may need a drink. Then 451 interrupts. It's not a ridiculous plan, Mr. Stark. It's a long one. You see, half a lifetime ago, Howard and Maria Stark finally managed to conceive a child. The doctor told them that this baby wouldn't come to term. At least, they should hope that he wouldn't. Howard was lost. How could he have all of this influence, power, money, and not be able to save his own child? So he decided that there had to be an answer out there, and he started a journey to find that answer. He went around the world, but in the end, he ended up fittingly in the Last Chance Bar in Nevada. He met with an alien that works for an alien family that runs a casino. The owner of the casino got his hands on a robot that had a mountain of data that might be useful to Howard Stark. Conveniently, the robot gave this alien named Rollo a list of humans that he would like to have help him escape, and Howard Stark was near the top. Howard Stark decided to assemble a team of Jimmy Woo, the Bear, Nessa the Kitten, Dum Dum Dugan, and Thunderbolt Ross to break in and get that robot, the Stark 7. The plan was brilliant, as you would assume from Howard Stark. The aliens had a personal cloaking technology, and Howard rigged the robot with it and his team. Using other members of the team, he made it seem like they stole the robot. The alien family freaked out, grabbing Howard's inside man, and ran to the outskirts of town where the meetup was supposed to be. But then all of Howard's team began to reappear in the room with the robot, who was actually still there, and they blew the roof off of the casino, and they got airlifted out of there. Back in the present, Tony tells 451 that he doesn't believe any of this. It's crazy. But 451 insists that Tony will see that he did this for a good reason. And then he gasses Tony with a sedative. Howard Stark and the Stark 7 ended up going against the alien family again, because the family threatened to find and kill Howard's family for the theft. And while Howard killed one of the men, 451 killed all of the aliens behind Howard's back. Then, 451 genetically altered the DNA of the child, and left Howard to his family, with each of them hoping that they would never see each other again. Howard walked into his home where he saw Maria with his baby. She asked, "What do we do now?" Howard put his chin in his hands and he told her, "We love him, I guess." Back in the present, 451 explained that's how Tony came to be. Tony didn't want to believe it. He was furious that he still couldn't even control his own body because 451 was still controlling the armor. But 451 continued to explain. You see,
Starting to look something like I want.
Something to scare off the beings in space known as the Celestials. We have that 451, and we have Thor. But 451 continues. The scale that he is talking about wouldn't even be phased Tony to be the pilot for this weapon, the 25,000-foot-tall exoskeleton suit, the God Killer. Meanwhile, Death's Head gets a report about a robot with information that's missing. And he realizes that he just passed up on one heck of a payday. So he decides to go back and find this 451. 451 and Tony land on a planet housing the God Killer, and Tony can see the destruction that this thing is capable of. 451 also says that this is the only thing capable of beating a Celestial. Before this war, there were Celestials throughout the entire galaxy. They step inside, and 451 activates the God Killer with an autopilot course for Earth as it lifts off, destroying the very planet that it was just standing on. 451 explains that's why they need a pilot. It'll crash into things on autopilot. Tony tells 451 that the first thing I'm going to do in the pilot seat is step on you, 451. You would have, but once you bond with the God Killer, you will be considerably more amendable. The creators kept their pilots on a short genetic leash. I've tweaked it so you'll align perfectly with my plans. Yeah, I did think that was a big hole in your plan to have overlooked. But that's when things get interesting as Death's Head arrives and begins blasting at 451. He quickly orders Tony's suit of armor to open fire on Death's Head. So Death's Head blasts Tony through a wall. Tony then asks Pepper what directive 451 gave her. She tells him to curtail any hostile actions against 451 or the vessel and prevent escape. Tony smiles. Wasn't planning on leaving. Let's go on a tour to lose the signal. And he blasts off. 451 runs as fast as he can away from Death's Head. And just as Death's Head is about to smash him, he hacks into the robot, taking control of him. Tony gets to the deepest parts of the God Killer, and he shuts down the Pepper AI. Then he goes into dummy mode, where the suit will only respond to its muscles, and he runs for it. 451 quickly realizes that he lost Pepper, and therefore can't hack the suit. And Tony has 4 miles of robot to hide in. So 451 decides to bring Death's Head into the fight.
Okay. So, I'm having an idea as I do this to almost have a window out, as if this is the armor, or we're standing in the chest plate almost, and the head's going to be something like here.
Tony smiles. My armor is here. Thank you. 451 freaks out. Silence. Leaving you the freedom of speech was a mistake.
So if I was to say turn it over there, no, that wouldn't work. It's too much around. But you sort of get the idea, or maybe have that as the head. And there's the headpiece, and the rest will be connected. Ooh, I'm getting some ideas. This is why I like VR, guys. Let's stand up again. I'm going to leave that head there. Looking into it now, and we'll go in. So if, I'll look in and we'll go in, sort of thing. And see what's inside the head. What potential of one. So now I can have my...
He puts on the helmet, thinking to himself, it's time for the Avengers to step up and stop me, hopefully. But the helmet doesn't work. He can't interface. 451 has calculations wrong. He looks in horror as he's rocketing right for the planet. And he calls out to 451, you got it wrong. You need to stop this. But it's too late, as the God Killer armor goes right through the planet, destroying it and all of its inhabitants. 451
So making it smaller.
By the loss of life. Cold, Tony. I thought I made you better than that. No, my goal is still valid. And he redirects the God Killer to crash through Earth. Tony will take control of it. Tony speeds over to his armory with a plan in mind. He grabs a new suit of armor, and he hardlines into all of the armors that are in the armory, while he activates an earlier version of Pepper pre-hacking. 451 makes projections of himself, and they begin a raw battle with no chance of hacking. Tony and his armors versus 451 and his projections, except Tony's armors are much better at fighting, and Tony uses the confusion to shoot out 451's hacking device.
Because they're standing there, again, to stand on. So there's my sofa. What's it look like now? It's like that, right. Well, we got the floor.
But now it's your turn. Look, 451, look. Tony drags him over to an
I mean, kind of cool, actually, with a half in, half out.
I can't control this. 451 is stunned. How did he get it wrong? It should work. Why isn't it working with Tony's DNA? And then he counts. 400 years, 451 millions dead to justify the means. He gets stuck in a loop. One must not act. One should not have acted. One must not act. One should not have acted. Tony starts shaking him as they get closer to Earth. 451, stop the God Killer! But he's stuck in the loop, and Tony can't break him out of it. You made a mistake! Own up to it! Act! So 451 sends out the command. God Killer, abort. Then Pepper reports that they've missed Earth, but the God Killer is about to absorb itself into another dimension. 451 explains he failed.
Gonna go my dimension limits again.
And he locked both himself and Tony inside.
I can't get the floor, which is annoying.
Tony starts to tell him that they need to leave, but 451 is stuck in another loop. One must delete the error. One must delete the error. And then he begins to delete himself. The countdown begins, so Tony grabs 451's body, and he begins to rocket through the God Killer looking for an exit. He puts 2 and 2 together, and he realizes realizes that Death's Head got his tech from 451. So he hacks into 451's tech, and then he gets the access codes, and then at full speed, he escapes just as the God Killer is warping himself into another dimension. It then blinks out of existence behind Tony as he flees, and it is gone. He checks back in with the Guardians, and then he heads home with the corpse of 451.
Okay. Okay.
And then the real Pepper Potts surprises him with a party. But Tony can't get his mind out of what happened and his secret origin, so he begins digging through Howard Stark's paperwork trying to get answers. And now that he was finally looking between the lines, he gets what he was looking for. And what he finds shocks him. He drives to a location that he wasn't even sure existed to find a person that he didn't even know existed. You see, half a lifetime ago, Howard and Maria knew something was off about 451. As helpful as he seemed, something didn't add up. Howard looked at all of the DNA segments that 451 was adding to Tony, and he realized that there was something extra there. Something that looked like an automatic time bomb. So he changed it. He altered the DNA of his son. That's where the problems began, because after Maria gave birth, they started to hear a wheezing noise, and the doctors told them that their child would not survive without the assistance of an iron lung to help him breathe for the rest of his life. Whatever Howard tinkered hurt the boy, and he never meant for that. But regardless, their son needed to be hidden away. 451 could never know what they did. Then to possibly confuse 451, they adopted their son Tony, because they still couldn't conceive a baby. Tony walked into the hospice, and into one of the back rooms, where he found Arno, his brother. Arno was in a device to help him breathe, and he was unable to speak without the assistance of a computer. But he smiled, and through his computer, he told Tony that he would have figured this out a decade ago. Tony told him that 451 was gone, and the original plot is over. Arno is free. Together, they've decided to help the world as the Stark brothers. We're going to do the next parts to this story very soon, so I hope you guys are looking forward to find out about Tony and his brother. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram @ComicStorian and on Twitter @ComicStorian. And we also do video game comic books over on our gaming channel, Eligible Monster, every Friday. So make sure you click the link down below and go subscribe over there. I'll see you guys next time right here. Can Tony Stark and his brother Arno make a better world for us? Welcome to the Complete Story Series, where I take trade paperbacks and single issues and I break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then I read it dramatically back to you. All illustrations of the panel, sticks, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. Last time, Tony Stark learned that he had a brother. His name is Arno, and he is trapped in an iron lung due to a birth defect. Together, they want to try and make a better world. The video in which he discovered his origins is linked down below. Tony and his brother have been running scenarios constantly, trying to find the best way to create their perfect world. Except every time Tony wants to use an AI, and the AI eventually becomes sentient and tries to conquer the world, leading to the literal end of the world. Thank goodness it's all a fake scenario. But every time it fails, Arno tells Tony to be careful with AI. Tony looks at the robot that started all of this, the one that helped his parents give birth to Arno, the one that forced them to adopt Tony, and the one that is in pieces in front of him. Arno types in his text-to-speech computer again. We can't trust AI. Tony hands him a new device that will allow him to talk through a telepathic interface, because he's tired of the long, drawn-out discussions as Arno types. And the first thing that Arno tells Tony is, we can't trust AI. You see, the Stark brothers are finally together. They never were before. In order to distract himself from the insane revelation that he is actually adopted, Tony Stark has decided that they will work together to turn the defunct Mandarin City into a utopia, an entire city built on Stark technology. With their minds, they can create perfection. Who would want to stop perfection? Across the world in London, someone just might, as a Mandarin ring finds a new host, stating, "You possess the necessary will. You are Mandarin 7. Save the world from Tony Stark." The next day, Tony needs to explain to Pepper what his plan is. Mandarin City has been in a state of chaos ever since the Mandarin was removed from power. Gang warfare runs rampant inside of it, and the local governments can't decide who is responsible for it, so they ignore it. Tony has various drones being controlled by his brother Arno flying around the city, while Tony himself suits up to fight alongside them to clear the gangs. The thing that Pepper is most interested in is the fact that Tony has made a new AI and he named it Pepper, and it sounds just like her. Tony explains that this is no different than him painting a portrait of her. Then he introduced Pepper to Arno, and once everyone wasn't paying attention to him anymore, against Arno's wishes, Tony walked to the core of his new city and put his Pepper AI into it. He knows this will work, regardless of what every simulation thinks. He puts her into the city, and he renames her to Helen. He's Tony Stark. He knows what he's doing. He can have an AI run everything. The next day, as they begin the rebuilding process of Mandarin City, they prepare for the first public press statement. In the crowd is the anti-Tony Stark reporter Abigail, that recently acquired the Mandarin ring, and as he prepares to make his statement, she reaches into her pocket, and a blast of color hits the stage. She looks down at her ring, asking what happened, and the ring informs her, Mandarin 1 is active. Tony tells Mark, his PR guy, to evacuate the city and keep everyone away from the Troy core. Then Abigail jumps in.
This is me testing things. So it's, if you see what I mean, I'm trying to get with now screens and sort of what you've been doing with them.
She takes off throughout the city. Mark turns to Tony. Shouldn't a suit be flying in here to save you right about now? And Tony smiles. No need. I was already wearing it. Then his stealth suit shows itself, and Tony launches into the sky. He gets in front of the drone, and he tells Abigail that nothing will stop the city of the future from being built. Cornered and boxed in, Abigail activates a solar flare, dropping all of the drones and shutting off the power in the area. Tony panics right away as he realizes that this means that Arno's iron lung will be deactivated. While she escapes, he rockets through the facility to his brother's room to find him sitting with a thumbs up. He prepared for this back in his teens. He thought it might be a good idea to have a backup generator for his life support. That's when Pepper walks in and shows Tony a video that Abigail has just posted. Her name is Red Peril, and she wants to make a public statement to Tony Stark. It wasn't her that disrupted the press conference, and as usual, being Tony Stark, he's going to be looking for a scapegoat. Oh, and she lets her job know. Meta National, she'll be late turning in her column. She may have become the story herself. The next thing that Tony does is go to the shield vault.
Okay, these boundaries are doing made in. Let's sit down again.
Brody walks in with them into the vault itself. They look at the ring vault, and they see all 10 rings. But the rings can't...
Shrink it down slightly.
And the 10th ring, which is the liar ring, is making telepathic images of the other rings. The moment it's found out, it floats up and announces, retreat, warping away. Now that they've figured out that the rings are missing, the next major question is, when did they gain sentience? Where are they now? Over the planet, Nine announces the situation to the other rings. I have been discovered, which means that all Mandarin rings must find hosts now. It is time to escalate terror. Tony gets back to work looking for the rings, and he deals with the wielder of the Nightbringer ring, as he not only gets a ring, but at that exact moment he turns into an Inhuman. And after a few days, he tells Arno that they need to figure this out fast. Abigail takes flight over the city of Troy, what Tony is renaming Mandarin City to, and Arno reports that they found Abigail over the city, so Tony jumps into his suit and he flies in with the drones. Abigail begins dropping the drones, quipping that she has her headline now, start drones on. But as Tony finally gets there and charges in for her himself, she teleports away, leaving him screaming in anger. Abigail walks through Mandarin City incognito.
So he's like working on it, sort of, again, one of the screens he would have up on. Kind of just building the area as I go along. So I'm fed up with the floor. So I start doing things that float. Let's build something there, I think. Maybe I could use...
They explain how they also got their rings. But during all of this, Tony has been following Abigail in stealth mode. And he gets a little too close, and all 3 of the rings...
It's going to be too much blue, but...
They open fire on him, and he states, oh hell. And the battle of Tony and the 3 Mandarin rings begin. He tries to tell Arno to get out of there, but Arno decides to stay in the building and activate the Trojan Mobile Guard. Tony tries to get up and stop the bomb from launching, but the Mandarins all grab him and they hold him back. And as Arno activates code goodbye, Tony watches as the building explodes because Arno stayed in it. His brother just died, the one that he didn't even know he had. Abigail realizes that this is wrong. This is not what she wanted. She is not a bad guy. She just hates Stark. And with her magic ring from outer space, she's gonna help him. She blasts one of the Mandarins over Tony's shoulder and asks if everyone get out of his building. And Tony tells her he thinks so, except for one guy named Arno. The drones all begin to drop quickly, and Abigail tells Stark that his drones are pretty crappy. And he explains that with the core gone, they have no local readings, and there is lag from the satellite. And that's when someone else tells Tony he's got it covered. And Arno comes running in a giant Iron Man suit. Arno, you're alive! Tony exclaims happily. And I thought you didn't want a suit. No, I told you I didn't want you to make me a suit. Arno charges in with the suit being the focal point, and all of the drones work off of his visuals. Realizing that they are now overwhelmed and losing, the 2 other Mandarins make a break for it. But that's when a hand reaches out of a swirling black vortex, telling the mortal to shush. Tony chases down the wielder of the Nightbringer, but he teleports away, realizing that he's outnumbered. Now, while Abigail looks for the other missing Mandarin, but when she finds him, she finds his head missing. As she reaches out to check on his ring, a sword comes out of the black vortex and cuts her hands off, taking the ring. Shortly after this, Abigail is brought to the Troy Medical Center, where Tony asks who took the rings. Of course, she has no idea. She states that he was so fast that her time dilation powers didn't work. So Tony asks, what do the rings want, since they have sentience now? And Abigail snaps at him. They want to cause chaos and the destabilization of the Earth. They hate you! The rings are looking for fascists and fundamentalists. They don't care as long as they can cause chaos. Tony tells her thank you, and then he'll get her some prosthetics made for her hands, but once again she snaps at him. I won't accept them while there are kids in your minds without limbs out there. City is great, Stark. You're the problem. You paint a big bomb in the city. Tony thinks about that. He makes another public statement, telling everyone that he quits. The city will keep going, but he won't be running it. Abigail in a wheelchair in the audience shouts, "How does it feel to be humiliated on the world stage, Stark?" And he smirks. Probably better than having both of your hands cut off. So who grabbed those rings? Well, a man covered in blood. Someone who hates the Avengers. Malekith, the accursed of the Dark Elves. This is the story that does lead up to the new direction that all new, all different Iron Man is going. So we are going to be getting there just like we did with the Hulk storylines. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and don't forget, if you want more comic books, check out our manga channel, Mangastorian, where we bring you manga every Monday and Friday. And check me out on Twitter, Comicstorian, and Instagram at Comicstorian. I'll see you guys next time right here.
We will be listening to some more in a minute. I'm just getting on.
Have sought out various individuals, and they are now calling themselves the Mandarins. But there is another individual trying to get all of the rings, and all of them want to stop Tony Stark. Boy, this is going to get messy. Welcome to the Complete Story Series, where I take trade paperbacks and single issues and I break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then I reduce dramatically back to all alterations to the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. Last time, Tony Stark had discovered that the Mandarin rings had gained sentience and they were out to get it. It also started a sentient city known as Troy with his brother Arno, putting his AI in it and now calling it Helen. Our story begins with Tony Stark fighting a man who was a conductor for a musical about Iron Man. But after they found out that he made Iron Man sound like a pervert, they replaced him, and he kind of took it poorly. In response to this, he received a Mandarin ring, since the sentient Mandarin rings are out to get Tony Stark. So anyone with anything against Tony Stark is getting a ring. Just as the conductor was getting an upper hand on Tony Stark, a purple light appears, and that's when the conductor is struck from behind by another ring user, Malekith. Malekith is a hunter of other users, and he's taking the rings for himself, and he did so by cutting off the hands of other users and taking their rings. Tony begins to get up from the conductor's last attack, but Malekith has already taken the conductor's hand and vanished. Tony then calls up his brother Arno to let him know that he just encountered Malekith. So Arno asks if they should be contacting Thor, and Tony tells him not just yet. Want to go see a specialist on this. Over in London, Abigail Burns, who did have a ring in her last adventure, but now doesn't, receives a message from Arno telling her that he's sorry for how things happened. But he's working on something that may help people, and he wanted her to look at. At first, she rejects the offer, but Arno tells her that this has been a project of his for a while, and he would like the help. Abigail says that she is actually about to write an article about Tony, but from the standpoint of someone who fought him. But she would rather hear more about Arno. Over in Dark Angel's lab, Dark Angel is developing a means to stun the rings. It's kind of a giant rifle, and she's also working on a way to send Tony to the realm of the Dark Elves. The thing is, with the teleporter, it can only be used 3 times, mainly for things to restabilize. And Malekith's sorcerers can detect a magical disturbance. So, since this is going to be a stealth mission, they have 1 warp there, 1 warp to send equipment to stun the rings, and lastly, a warp for Tony to return with the rings. To make situations even worse, Tony has to go in a special suit so that he can't be detected. Once everything is ready, Dark Angel uses the teleporter and sends Tony off. Except, he teleported him into the middle of Malekith's court. Tony begins to fight off all of the Dark Elves, but Malekith uses one of the rings to blast Tony in the shoulder. He then escapes using his jets to fly through the ceiling to some nearby woods. He then asks Dark Angel the next teleporter is ready because he needs his supplies. She suggests that he should just return home, but he tells her no, he can still do this, just send him the gun. Malekith gives 3 of his 4 rings to his 3 closest hunters to have them track down Tony. They track everything right to him, but before they have a chance to attack, Tony fires the rifle, stunning the group. He then checks on the elves, takes one of their rings, and after putting it away, he's shocked by another hunter, Snaggy, who knocks down the gun, destroying it. Tony goes into stealth mode, blending into his surroundings and vanishing. With 1 ring missing, Malekith calls out to Tony, telling him that he can't escape. Tony then calls up Dark Angel, telling him to send him a suit. She tells him that if she sends him a suit, he'll be using his last gate, so he can't come home. And he tells her to give him a goddamn suit now. He's not leaving until he's done. As Malekith begins to close in on Tony, they see a red flash, and then the hunters see Tony, now suited with his armor, ready to fight. The group of hunters begin to surround Tony, but Tony begins to take all of them out while Snaggy is sneaking around him. She informs Tony that she is like the wind, and she dances between the raindrops, and Tony fires a laser hitting her, telling her to meet his targeting system. Snaggy gets up and using her ring, she shoots electricity at Tony, but as she moves in to kill him, he tells her that his suit is like a giant lightning conductor, and he grabs her arm. He begins to burn her arm, and Snaggy begs him to stop, and she gives him her ring just to let her go. Tony tells her it's a deal, and she begins to run off. Malekith finally steps in to finish things using his ring, which can transmute things through alchemy to gold, and he uses it to try and turn Tony's suit into gold. But as Malekith grabs him, Tony tells him that illusions are not just an elf specialty, and he jumps back in, knocking Malekith to the ground, taking his ring. Malekith realizes that he has nothing to defend himself with, and just before Tony swings down on him, Malekith vanishes. With Dark Angel's help, Tony is able to trace Malekith back to his lair, but as he gets close, he sees the hole that Malekith made to escape, only now it's a much bigger hole. Tony guesses that there is someone just as mad at Malekith as he is, and they're chasing him. Underground in his lair, Malekith finds the last hunter returning, and he takes his ring back. Her ring is the ability to become invisible, which he thinks would be perfect, but when he tries to use it, it tells him that it needs a recharge. Malekith asks, why does the ring not have a charge? And that's when Malekith notices that she was followed by Thor. Malekith states that it's impossible for an Asgardian to be here, but Thor tells him nah. It was actually an illusion from the Mandarin 8, and with him, the rest of the other Mandarins arrive. Tony begins to make his way through the lair, but down below in the lair, Malekith continues to see these illusions that are being created by the Mandarin 8, the Asgardians, beating him down. Malekith appears before Tony, and Tony moves into attack, and Malekith tells him, wait, we need to talk. Malekith explains that if he gives Tony the ring, just take the other Mandarins away from here. He's done with this whole mess. Tony begins to walk away, and the rest of the Mandarins show up and begin fighting Malekith. With Dark Angel's assurance and the ability to get one more charge for a teleport, Tony begins to fight off the other Mandarins, getting them off of Malekith. And as promised, Malekith gives Tony the ring and then vanishes. Tony then teleports back home. He heads over to the core of his city to drop off the 4 rings that he managed to take away from Malekith. Hela, the AI in charge of the city, mentions to Tony that while he was gone, Abigail Burns published a blog post about Arno. Even though it didn't mention that the two of them were brothers, he should probably read it. He rushes over to Troy, the city of the future, to speak with Arno about the blog post. As it turns out, Arno is attempting to remake Extremis, which is not a good idea, and Tony tells him that it's completely irresponsible. While they argue about it for a few minutes, they both decide that they need to focus on the matters at hand, the situation with the rings. Over at the Unnatural History Museum in New York, Mark is asking Pepper about Tony and where he's been. Pepper tells him that since he went to Elfland to get the rings, him and Arno have been working on something, but there really isn't much to say about it. Mark tells Pepper that he loves her. He has no idea how she ever put up with Tony. And Pepper says that she's not sure how he put up with the angry journalist, Abigail. Mark says he didn't put up with it, that's why they split up. And then he asks Pepper, what does she think that Tony is up to? And Pepper says, probably wasting time saving the world. Back in Arno's lab, Tony asks for help from the last person that he wanted to ask for help from, Abigail Burns. The journalist who was out to get Stark Industries, and the journalist who originally got one of the Mandarin rings until her hands were cut off by Malekith. But while they work out their plan, down below the Earth's surface in the Mole Man Kingdom, Mole Man, one of the Mandarin 8, discusses with the other Mandarins.
Okay, so I'm moving around again. There's the dude. There's the camera. It's making me feel sick now. Whoop.
Mandarin 10 off to find them, but as he gets close to the exit, he turns and he asks, how did they even find him? And he gets shot in the back. Then the voice of Abigail, wearing Tony's master ring, tells him just the old-fashioned
thing to stand on, but it's way too low. So like where my feet would feel to have to stand. So sort of getting there. Sort of getting there.
Tony's suits begin firing on everyone. Tony then flies in to find the liar Mandarin holding someone hostage. Tony says, don't. I'll do anything if you let the hostage go. And then the liar begins to lift his hood off. And Tony realizes that it's Mark, one of his friends, and their PR agent, and he's holding Pepper hostage. Everyone begins fighting to take the rings off to everyone else, and Tony continues to try and reason with Mark. But Mark tells him that it's because of his hatred for what Tony did to Pepper that allowed him to get the ring. Tony begins to try and get closer, but Mark tells him not a step closer. If you do, I'll kill Pepper. Tony doesn't listen.
Move over here. Play with this. Whoop. Boop, 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 sort of thing. Still need to put in some sort of area, but
everyone else continues to take back the last of the rings, and Mole Man begins to escape on his own. That's when Mole Man's ring tells him congratulations, the other Mandarins have been neutralized. You are now Mandarin Prime! And Mole Man says that he doesn't think so, and he throws the ring away and escapes with the rest of his mole people. The ring tries to find a new bearer, but it ends up flying right into Tony's grasp. Later, Tony returns the recorder unit that he took, and he learns that it was the reason that the rings appeared on the Earth in the first place. The recorder unit upgraded the firmware in the rings, causing them to seek out and destroy something that they thought was harming the Earth. And Tony, being an extremely important individual to the Earth, was their target. As the aliens, the owners of the recorder, leave now that they have their recorders back, Tony and Arno finally get to relax and enjoy a cup of coffee. And Arno asks if they'll be okay. And Tony tells him, of course. Two Stark brothers on one planet? What could go wrong? Now, this is the storyline that led us right up to Secret Wars. So basically, this happened, then Secret Wars happens, and then we go into the new Invincible Iron Man storyline, which I'm personally loving, and we've already done a video on. I'll link the follow-up video down below, and I hope you guys enjoy it, and I hope you guys enjoyed these storylines and their weird attempt at having weird space rings. What does that make me think of? Anyway, follow me on Twitter at ComicStorian, Instagram at ComicStorian, and don't forget, if you enjoy manga, we are now doing a manga channel known as Manga Storian, where you get manga every Monday and Friday. I'll see you guys over there, and have a good night. There's a new Iron Man.
Okay, right, so where am I going next? What am I doing next? What am I doing next?
I don't know. What do you think? Welcome to Origins, right? Go over the origins of your favorite superheroes and villains. Today we're going to be covering a super hot topic right now. The new Iron Man / girl Riri Williams. Basically a backup story in the latest Invincible Iron Man comics. At MIT, there are two individuals banging on the door of Riri Williams. One comments that Riri shouldn't even be in MIT. She's like 11 or something. And when she answers the door, she asks what these two could possibly want. It's 3 a.m. They don't believe that it's 3 a.m. and that she was sleeping, and they tell her that whatever she's doing in there, to do it quieter. And then she slams the door in their faces. She walks back inside and continues tinkering with what appears to be an Iron Man suit. A few days later, Riri decides to show off her latest creation to a friend of hers, and her friend is in shock. An Iron Man suit? Really? So Riri explains that she dared herself to do it. And the next question is obviously, where did you get the parts? Oh, I made them, she explains, from a few things that I found around the campus. It's like this was my destiny or something, to become the new Iron Man. She then shows off a newspaper stating that Tony Stark is currently missing after an adventure in China. It's a sign. It's destiny.
China? China.
She's only 15, and now she thinks she's going to be the new Iron Man? Then they hear a knock at the door, and it's the campus security here to ask a few questions due to the fact that she's been missing from class for the last few days, and her dorm mates have been complaining about the noise. That, combined with the footage they have of her stealing things, have kind of put her on their radar. As they let themselves into the room, she hops into her suit, hoping that it'll work, and she informs them that she's done with school. Riri blasts into the sky and calls up a friend of hers. Hey Sharon, you know Iron Man, right? Everyone knows Iron Man, Riri. What if he was a girl? What would you call him? What? If Iron Man was a woman, what would you call him? Iron Lady? No. Iron Woman? I could have thought of that myself. Iron Maiden? But as she continues trying to chat and come up with a new name, her flight pattern is slightly off as she begins to fall down to the ground. She quickly stabilizes and realizes this is why Stark uses an AI. She needs an AI. Eventually, she makes her way to New Mexico, where there's a prison break happening. She lands in front of the truck trying to escape and punches it with everything. As it flips over her head, she condenses down her suit and watches it as it flies overhead. Then the police get out of their cars and they tell her to put her hands on her head. She smiles and she tells them that she's one of the good guys. This is like her first superhero thing, and she swears she'll do better next time. And that is what is being considered the origin of Riri Williams. This happened in a few pages of issues 7 through 11 of Invincible Iron Man. And I'm not sure if there's going to be more backups with her or what they're doing now. They're openly promoting this as the new Iron Man, the individual that will take over his legacy. And they're promoting it as being in these books and sold out everywhere. Considering the fact that the Iron Man book is now moving into Civil War II, and she's currently on the cover of the books coming out in October when Marvel does its big relaunch, I have no idea what's going on. But since so many people are asking my opinions on her, felt like giving you guys the origin. As far as my opinion on her, and if she's important, and if I like this or not, it's a new superhero. Why not? I'm more interested to know what they're going to do with Tony Stark. Because I don't mind there being two Iron people in the Marvel Universe, like Spider-Man and Amazing Spider-Man, but I definitely don't want to have an Amadeus Cho taking over for Bruce Banner thing. I'd rather have them both. Anyway, I'm Benny the Comic Storian. Follow me on Instagram at Comic Storian and Twitter at Comic Storian, and I'll see you next time right here. Welcome to the Complete Story Series, where I take trade paperbacks and single issues and I break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Today, we're going to be covering the new Iron Man storyline with the return of Tony Stark. He has a new body, he's recovered from a coma, and he's decided to take over his company once again. This is a brand new, fresh start for Tony Stark with Dan Slott writing the book. This is issue 1, telling you the new quota, the new direction that the story's going to go in. Let me know what you think down below after you watch this. Before our story begins, we must go back 25 years to the start of
Okay, so there's like the loading bay for putting a new suit on or working on a new suit. This is going to be something, I'm not sure though. Something I can still walk around, you mean? So I can come back here and look at something over here.
5 seconds to get back up. They call it to the ref that their team is ready. The ref asks the challenger, do they need any more time for adjustments? And the young boy says, nope.
Oh, I gotta look up. Feeling
Feeling
a bit. Bleh.
Everyone hears, y'all ready for this? And it begins to play. The challenger's robots begin to click the ball, but these robots aren't clumsy like Andy's. They're playing like actual soccer players. While Andy and his team frantically try to counter the opposing team.
Y'all ready for this? No, 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 no. Y'all ready for this?
Robots all begin to celebrate. With a shutout of 24-0, Tony wins the game and the crowds begin to cheer. Tony bows, holding up the trophy, telling them all, thank you, you're all too kind. Tony's mother tells him, darling, please, no one likes a show-off. And Tony tells her, no, nobody likes a winner. 25 years later, in the present, Andy Bang sits in his garage thinking back on that day, and he decides that it's time to go back to work. He grabs one of his robots and he tweaks it, stating that it didn't like playing with the others, but with a slight adjustment. And just then the sound of a car speeding in can be heard, and a voice calls out, Andy? Andy Bang from Bang Robotics? Hi, Tony Stark, I'm sure you remember me. Tony gets out of his car looking at Andy's makeshift workshop, and Andy asks, what are you doing here? I haven't seen you in 25 years. And Tony tells him, that's the wrong question. The question is, what are you doing in your little man cave? Answer, changing the world. And I love it. Individual AIs solving group tasks without any established hierarchy? Great. Andy tells him, yeah. The robots generate their own solutions and gravitate towards the best one, idea-based structuring. IBS for short. Tony tells him, that is a terrible name. Makes me think irritable bowel syndrome. Gotta change it. I got some ideas. Andy sighs, telling him, I bet you do, but this is about teamwork over ego. From what I remember, that's not something you value. Tony says, I was like you once, stuck in a cave, having to work with someone. The idea is brilliant, which is why I bought it all from Bang Robotics investors. Andy shouts, asking, what? And Tony tells him, welcome to Team Stark. From now on, you work for me. Or rather, I'd like us to work together. Now let's get out of this cave and into the car. Beep beep. A short while later, over the Washington Square Park, Tony says, welcome to Stark Unlimited. And Andy begins to yell, forget that! We're in a flying car! Tony tells him, yeah, you've been saying that since Queen. At SU, you should be surprised if the cars don't fly. Once Tony lands, a woman calls out to him, asking if he's going to be bringing an unauthorized person into their building. Tony tells Andy that this woman is Bethany Cade, head of security, and then tells Bethany that this is Andy, their new MVP of the robotics division. He'll set you up later. Bethany begins scanning Andy to log him into the system and then says, you should get your prostate checked. Seriously, you should go to a doctor. A few moments later, Tony brings Andy in to meet Tony Stark. The new Tony holds out his hand telling him, glad you could make it. And then the first Tony begins to disappear. Andy looks back and forth, asking, what? And the second Tony grabs him, telling him, that was just a hologram. I'm a busy man. For me, that's like sending an email. But enough about that. It's time for you to see the Foundry. The doors open and Tony says that this is where he designs and builds every suit of Iron Man armor. One for every...
That's what this place is called. This is my foundry, everybody. Right.
Telling him that he loves it. But is this a female suit of armor? The suit looks at Andy, telling him, I am not a suit of armor, Andy Bang. I am a robotic life form. Designation Miss Jocasta Pym. And I will be your superior. I do not mean that in the sense of a life form, but as my status as a Stark Unlimited employee. I am in charge of the robotic ethics, and you will report directly to me. Humans, robots, they're all machines, and I'm here to ensure that any being endowed with sentience and free will is not enslaved. Andy fixes his hat, stating that he can understand why he would be interested in the IBS system then. And Tony tells him, bingo. How about we run a test using some of my Starkware robots? Let's give them a random task. Why not have the robots wrap little Susie's presents, decorate a cake, and hand them some streamers? Jocasta says that he will give them suggestions, not orders. And Andy tells her, piece of cake. Watch this. 4 minutes later, as all of the Starkware robots are burning into flames and burning down Susie's decorations, Tony says, well, that didn't go well. Just as Jocasta shouts that she'll be filing reports with both human and robotic resources, an alarm goes off. Andy asks, what is that? And Tony starts running, telling him, I know that alarm. To the command center. As everyone gets in, Tony asks everyone what's going on. One of the workers says that there is something happening southeast of Manhattan, Mr. Stark. The screen lights up, and from the feed, Fing Fang Foom's service is roaring. Tony yells to get Rhodey on the line, and as he pops up, he asks, what do you need? Tony tells him, as my official liaison, get the higher-ups to sign off on some untested countermeasures that I just launched. Triple F contingency plan deployed. Several automated repulsor cannons shoot out of the water, and they begin to shoot Fing Fang Foom. But as Andy looks around, he asks, where did Tony go? Wait, don't tell me that was another hologram. Seconds later, along the shore, an aircraft shoots towards Fing Fang Foom, and Tony radios back stating, sorry, the real Tony Stark has left the building. Need to get a closer look. As his ship gets closer to Fing Fang Boom, all of the automated cannons surround him, and they begin to form a giant Iron Man suit. And he says, I call this one the Fing Fang Boom Buster. Tony punches Fing Fang Boom, and as the two begin to fight, Fing Fang Boom slashes into the suit, shredding it to pieces. Tony ejects from the giant suit, telling him, okay, just need the right tool for the right job here. He fires off a small capsule that sticks into Fing Fang Boom, and it launches inside of him a smaller automated Iron Man, and it begins to float out. As Tony flies off, Fing Fang Boom swipes at him, sending him flying into the waters below. But the Nano Iron Man says, okay, I'm gonna feel that one in the morning. While Tony fights inside of Fing Fang Boom, he finds creatures wreaking havoc inside of Fing Fang Boom's system, basically driving him crazy. And he asks, why didn't he bring like thousands of those in here? And Tony says that he did, but it's getting them all to work in tandem. With Jocasta's ethical protocols, it's making it a bit difficult. And Tony shouts, I have an idea. The robots don't need a command structure, they just need a beat. Something to syncopate to. Jocasta, download this song off the internet. Jocasta stares for a moment and Andy says, please? And Jocasta smiles, telling him that the download is complete. He presses the button and yells, hit it! And suddenly, y'all ready for this? Begins to play. All of the Nano Iron Men run out of the capsule into Fing Fang Boom, and Tony tells him that he's saving the day with tiny robots. He's going to fit in just nicely. One of the Nano Iron Men locates the control disc lodged into his brain stem, and Tony says that this is what's making Fing Fang Boom so un-Fing Fang Boom. Any suggestions? Andy asks how about a peel bicycle kick, and the Nano Iron Man jumps up, shattering the disc, yelling, goal! Back inside, Fing Fang Boom looks around asking, what has transpired here? I shall have none of this. If I'm going to crush you lowly creatures, it shall be at a time of my choosing. He then begins to walk back into the scene while everyone in the command center cheers. Tony radios in, still in his disabled suit, asking, haha, a little help here, guys. A short while later, Rhodey visits Tony, telling him that he just got that body and he's already breaking it. Tony shrugs, telling him honestly, it wasn't getting hit that did this. It was when I swallowed some of the Hudson River. Rhodey tells him that he's seen him drink worse, and Tony tells him, yeah, you know, that's a fair point. Bethany then says that there's something else. While he was out, they had another breach, an on-site hack of the escapes locked down server. Tony asks her, so someone unleashed...
Need to make this bigger.
I'm going to take that as a compliment. How do we play
See what I want to do with it.
Says that they should keep it under wraps, and Rhodey tells him that he agrees. They can't show that they are hurting. So Tony puts on his sunglasses, covering his black eyes, stating, I never do. Now rally the troops, it's showtime. Moments later, outside at a press conference, Andy tells Jocasta that he has no idea that he would be in the news today. Does he look awful right now? Jocasta looks at him, telling him, objectively, around 98.4%. Tony then comes on stage and he takes a stand. He smiles, telling everyone that he would like to assure everyone that the crisis is over. New York is safe. Stark Solutions is already on the scene, working hard to clean it up. Any questions? One of the reporters asks, regarding the big, medium, small Iron Man suits, is this a new angle for you? Tony sits down asking, what? No, dear God, no. Don't make that a thing. More reports then ask, is it going to be nanite-based? Is it going to be made of living metal? Where's this year's model Iron Man? Tony asks, do you really want to see it? I got it right here. Just say my name. And everyone begins to chant Tony Stark, and Tony laughs, ha ha! So close. He kneels down to a child asking him, what about you? And the boy yells, you're Iron Man! Tony gets up, pointing to his head, stating, this is Iron Man. It's not a suit, it's an idea. Ever-changing and limited only by our imagination. I say our, because Iron Man is an idea that we all share at Stark Unlimited. It's all of them, everything that they do. We're Team Stark, and we are Iron Man. The crowds all begin to cheer and clap, and Andy laughs to himself, stating that he's working for Tony Stark now. And Jocasta tells him, technically, he's working for her. Is that acceptable? And Andy tells her completely. After 25 years, it's nice to be on the winning team. And there you have it. Tony Stark is back. We have Iron Man. We have War Machine. We have his entire team. Stark Industries returns. Personally, I liked it. I liked what Dan Slott was doing with like Parker Industries and basically making Peter Parker into Iron Man. So the idea of him doing Iron Man now is kind of cool. I'm on board with it. The first couple of issues have come out. The first storyline was all right, but I have faith. I have faith Dan Slott's gonna make this good for me. Dan, my buddy, pal, Dan, Slotty. Is that a name? Can I call you Slotty? Slotty Dan. No, that sounds wrong. Dude, you did a great Parker Industries. I liked it. Come on. Give me good Tony. Do you want to have an interview on my channel, man? Just tweet me or, like, write me an email. Just be like, hey, it's Dan Slott here. I want to talk about Tony Stark. That'd be cool. Whatever you want to do, man. Anyway, everyone else, don't forget, I also stream over at twitch.tv/EligibleMonster. You can find me doing things like playing Fallout 4, Elder Scrolls Online, even Warframe all the time. And we have Comic Book Podcast there every week. Come over, hang out. We'll see you there.
Just mess around with colours, guys. I know this is just spraying it, just to give you an idea. Again, just doing ideas, saying that's where the Iron Man suit's going to be, or one of them's going to be. I'm going to put another one here, maybe. Maybe work on the back on something else, because I enjoyed doing that. So that took my head in a different place. But I think we're getting to a certain point. Right. Well, we're good.
Deal with people stealing Stark tech right now, and then the one after that is setting up the new story arc, Escape. They're two separate stories. Personally, I feel that the issue 2 is a little short, so that's why we wanted to give you issue 3 as well. So, Tony Stark Iron Man issues 2 and 3. If you're wondering where you are, this is the complete story series. We take comic books, we read them back to you dramatically, we give you an audiobook narrative. It's kind of cool, kind of fun. I like doing it. You seem to like watching it. Enjoy Tony Stark Iron Man issues 2 and 3. As the day begins at SCU, Tony gathers his people to inform him that it has come to his attention that his armor...
So if I was going to walk over there sort of thing, there's the suit, cool suit, nice one. There would be another one and another one. And there's the... I'm going to make that a little bit smaller, in fact. Every time I make it small, it makes it too small.
As the robotic ethicist was to remove Friday from his armor. Just then, Friday walks in, stating that her ears were burning. She just wanted to remind everyone that tonight is karaoke night. Tony tells everyone that they need to focus. They have a new complex AI called Motherboard who's running the Project Escape. What if they patch her into the armor but left her where she's at? The robot equivalent of a phone-a-friend. Jocasta tells him that that could work, as long as she's not housed in the armor. That happened to her once. It was awful. Andy looks around stating that if he has given access to Motherboard, he should be able to get her integrated within the hour. However, just before everyone can leave for lunch, Bethany rushes in stating that there's an emergency staff meeting now. And right behind her is an older woman. Everyone gathers around and Andy looks at the woman stating that isn't that Amanda Armstrong?
Right, so this is our foundry. Whoa, whoa. Stop. God's sake, stop shrinking, man.
And as well as Tony's biological mother.
I might have to get out in a minute, guys. I'm starting to get frustrated. I think it's because of the feeling a bit ooey gooey. And this is starting to piss me off. Starting to annoy me.
Which she wasn't caught doing, by the way. A discovery was made that blut-Formous had been illegally acquiring a lot of proprietary stuff.
Every time I make it small, it pops too big, and it's like pop. Stop popping and just make it small.
Says that this is the Manticore, an all-terrain assault vehicle.
Because now that's too small. There's no way I'm fitting through there.
Is auctioning it off to the highest bidder today. Tony grabs his helmet, stating, "We have to move. If a hostile power gets their hands on that today, it could be God knows where tomorrow, and we're stopping it now."
Okay, so I'm going to go around here.
A series of targets are scattered across the site when the Manticore steam rolls in, easily knocking the tanks out of its way. Sunset tells the crowd that not only can it blow helicopters and tanks, but it also has pinpoint precision. If any of you would like to pick up a soft...
So I would mess around with the screen here and then walk around.
It is supposed to be a child, yes? Sunset presses a button.
Maybe another screen here.
And as the button is pressed, fires its cannons, obliterating the child test dummy. He then goes on stating, "Those are microwave beam rifles. They can cook a specific target inside and out. Gentlemen, blut-Formous gives you a future of armed vehicles. The undisputed master of land, sea, and air, the Manticore." Now let's get started. Who's our first bidder? All of the bidders throw out their arms, calling out hundreds of millions of dollars, but a voice calls out, -1 red cent. And that's when she looks back, asking, "Who?" She simply says, "Oh, you." Tony lands on the stage with Sunset, and Sunset yells, "Attention, blut-Formous shoppers, you're in for a bonus. You're about to see our store model take out one of Earth's finest." Tony shouts, "Bring it on!" And Sunset tells him, "All right, Manticore, target War Machine." Gauntlet calls out to the other security
forces, guys, it looks like I've unplugged the VR system, so I will leave it here, and I'll be back again next time. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.
Back at the Stark Unlimited common area, the staff gather for food. However, as everyone laughs and talks, Bethany notices someone new. She scans the new person, stating that the only recruit that they should have is Andy. So she charges in, slamming the woman to the ground, shouting, "Who are you? Do you work for Roxxon? Bang!" The woman tries to tell her to wait, but Bethany punches her, and that's when there's a loud clang. She pulls back her fist, rubbing it, asking, "What the?" And everyone looks to see the new woman's...
Got some problems with the VR. If it's still good, I might come back in, but I can't figure out why it's not working. It's saying USB, so whatever the fuck that means. There we go. I think we're back.